And welcome, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Hawks Volleyball, Henry Ford College. Hawks Volleyball, Eric Pate along with Dallas Young, and we're happy to be with you for this match between the Henry Ford College Hawks, who come in with a record of 4-10, hosting the Terra State Community College Titans from Ohio with a record of 11-2. And real quickly, it is sophomore night. Coach Shannon Braun in her first year is going to give some gifts to the 6 sophomores, and I'll read their names off to you real quickly. And Dallas, as I gathered that, just quickly say some things so we can pod on over to hear what the coach has to say.
Well, you're going to expect the Henry Ford Hawks to put up a good fight tonight against the Terra State team, 11-2. Great team, and sophomore night. Henry Ford doesn't want to lose, so.
Okay. Real quickly, Madison Somberg, Nima Johnson, Kelsey Harris, Veronica Shikanowitz, Janae Collins, and Camille Brown are those sophomores. So we're going to let you listen in and watch as these sophomores get their recognition as Kelsey Harris steps up to get her flowers from the coaching staff. And Veronica Stanowitz just got her flowers. And number 8, Janae Collins out of CMA, sophomore. And Dallas interested to see what happens with these young ladies next. Is volleyball over, they go on somewhere else.
Yeah, I would expect some of these sophomores to go to 4 years, you know, played a great season this year. A lot of eyes turn, a lot of heads turn. So
and that's Camille Brown who just got her flowers. So the 6 sophomores getting their flowers. And are you a sophomore?
Yeah, I am a sophomore.
So you're gonna experience the same?
Yeah, I am. It's a bittersweet feeling. Putting a lot of hard work. A lot of these girls putting a lot of hard work for this school. So.
Well, they've got the starting. We're gonna introduce the entire lineup from Terra State, and as they're doing that, maybe we can talk a little bit about Henry Ford and what they've been able to do. It was a good news, bad news type thing. I think they split up in Alpena, and then the other night Mott. That was a clean sweep for the Mott Bears. So 4-10 coming back here.
Again, you said there's a good and bad to it. But Henry Ford knows what they've done this year, what they've accomplished this year, and they have to take it into the playoffs. You have an injury. You have Megan Howes with an ankle injury. I believe she's playing on it tonight, and she'll be 100% back for regionals as well. So I was going to be interested to see how she manages this injury, but as well as the Henry Ford Hawks, how they're going to take this season, how they're going to learn from it, and what are they going to do going into the playoffs as well. Because they still have that left to go.
Well, I want to tell folks a little bit about the Terra State Community College Titans. And they're 11-2 record. They play in the Ohio Community College Athletic Conference. And the head coach is Stephanie Champagne. Her assistant coach is Sean Dryden. They have a little hometown flavor with Jacayla Jackson, a sophomore at Union High School. She's wearing number 14 tonight. They're a hard-working group, according to their coach. They love coming to Michigan. If you look at the schedule, they come up and down the schedule, Dallas, and they play there in Michigan because they like the competition. What do you think the Hawks will need to do to beat a team that in warm-up showed a lot of power?
Yeah, they have to defend that power. They have to be ready to go. Be ready to hit the ball back. Try to find some soft spots in that defense and try to have the ball land a little soft. Don't have to go to their power game as quickly as they need to. But try to get some points on and compete. It's going to be a good game.
Well, we got the Titans and the Hawks right here at the Athletic Memorial Building. Eric Dallas Young with you. This is our final volleyball game as we know it. The Hawks will be on the road, according to the athletic director, Rochelle Taylor, for the upcoming district tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see how much fire, how much energy they come out with tonight. Terra State said the schedule, quite frankly, because of COVID, has allowed them to kind of force them to come up north and play these teams in Michigan. They played quite a host of teams throughout the state.
Yeah, a lot of teams in the OCAC is what they call it. A lot of teams in the OCCAC have had to maneuver their schedules around Terra State. It's no different.
And the starting lineup right now for Terra State, as you're looking, and I'm thinking number 15 is in the back. Cassie Hoover is going to serve it up for Terra State as we get ready to go. And the Hawks, they'll start it off with Alyssa Sanner, Kelsey Harris, Lily Grantham, and in the back row, you see Sonnenberg, you see Alyssa Dar, and Nima Johnson. And there's a side out. And right just like that, the Hawks score 1-0, and I think we got Lily Grantham that's going to serve.
A good start for the Hawks, and they have a little bit of hometown fans here tonight. A couple of parents are here supporting their daughters for sophomore night, so that might give them a little bit of an edge tonight.
So let's see what Lily Grantham does with the serve as Janae Collins is in. A stake on the serve. And so now it's a side out, and Terra State gets the volleyball.
It's good to see some people back here watching some live volleyball.
And 2-1 right now for Terra State. You don't want to get behind. This team, you don't want to be made quick work of in this match if you're Henry Ford College. Nice block at the net. And a nice try by Madison Sonberg, made a diving retreat, but
we've seen Madison Sonberg do that all season long. She's really put her body on the line for her teammates, diving all over the floor, and not afraid to get cut up.
Melissa Grodel on the serve. And Henry Ford's keeping it alive. Jacayla Jackson was in the warm-ups doing her thing there. Was Tariana Settles on the nice outside hitter. And Jacayla Jackson making herself known in the middle at the net.
She's going to be an eye to watch.
And Henry Ford's got to be on their toes because the power, again, is coming from the outside for Terra State.
Yeah, they can't let that power game be too much for Henry Ford. Terra State, they're going to go to that all game long until Henry Ford decides to adjust it and bring it back to them.
4-1. Terra State. Janae Collins matching that power. Henry Ford keeps it in play. From the outside, and it went out. And score a point for Henry Ford, 4-2. As number 11, Madison Candela, the team's leading scorer, is into the match, as well as Lily Grantham returning as Alyssa Dar on the serve.
Good defense right there.
And it's a little bit more juice in the building for Henry Ford right now.
And that's a good thing, you know, especially with COVID and everything. It's good to get some kind of people back in the building tonight.
Yeah, it is quite refreshing indeed. Glad to have you here at the Athletic Memorial Building with some of the parents that are here. And so the ball was tipped. Henry Ford side out. Terra State on the serve. That was Abby Yost serving for the Titans. 5-3 in the early going. And from the outside, that's number 16, Terriana Settles. She's come with dynamite. And it's 6-3. These girls, they're coming to a match. I mean, it's match number 15 for the Hawks, and number 14 for the Titans. I mean, and I'm talking about in a month's time.
Yeah. And a lot of things have moved fast. And, you know, I was thinking about it earlier. You know, it was not too long ago we had our first broadcast together. These ladies have been working hard every single day. If they're not playing, they're practicing, and a lot of recovery for these girls as well because they're on their feet every day. So it's been a long season for them, but now in this COVID, you know, everything is so packed up, and everything is moving so fast.
8-3. Yep.
But these girls are doing a great job.
8-3 with Yost on the serve.
When they look back on this season, they'll be pretty happy with it, I think.
Titans setting it up for on the outside, and Henry Ford on their third hit gets it across the net. And Melissa Grodel tried to respond and hit the net side out. 8-4. The Terra State Titans from south of the border in Ohio, as Camille Brown gets set to serve. Her mother's here for sophomore night. Not too far from us, 8-4.
And number 6, Veronica, is checked in. You know, she's missed most of the season with an injury. She's back on the court, especially her being a sophomore. Very happy to see her back on the floor.
Wow.
Hey.
That had to hurt. And Janae Collins just had a mental lapse there. Makes it 9-4.
But we talked about it as well. You know, we talked about Terra State and their power game, and they're showing it early. And until Henry Ford decides to, you know, to make some adjustments and stop it, it's gonna keep going.
So back to serve is Kerrigan Durko, freshman setter, and Henry Ford making a mistake at the net makes it 10-4 for the Titans. Eric Pate, Dallas Young with you at the Athletics Memorial Building. Game number 1. Last home game for the Henry Ford College Hawks, and in particular those 6 sophomores. And that was all the way side out. Henry Ford takes over, and we'll talk more about those sophomores as we go along. 10-5. And then Alyssa Sanner on the serve. Can't say it's a long season because it's gone by so fast.
But in hindsight, it is a long season. You know, you do a lot in a month. It's a lot of wear and tear on that body.
And Terriana Settles is moving from side to side. And that time she hit it a little bit too long and make it 10-6. 10-6, Terra State.
But let me tell you something. These girls are as close as they can be as a team. The amount of work I've seen them put in and out of school, you know, especially under the circumstances we're facing today, they had no choice but to be close, and this team has really come together. And Coach Braun said this is one of the closest teams she's ever coached. So that goes to show you
11-6 on the side out by Henry Ford. And Terra State will serve. And for Terra State, it's big hitter Terriana Settles. Time to serve, and that's an ace. 12-6. And I mean in the warm-ups, Dallas, I don't know if you noticed, and there's a timeout by Henry Ford. That's a good timeout. They were coming with the, as you would say, the P-H-U-N-K, the funk. I mean, they were really, really, really elevating, getting a lot of velocity on their balls. I mean, they are something to watch.
Yeah, and like I said, this is their game. And like I said, they're going to keep going to it. And I'm assuming Coach Braun is in the huddle telling, executing plans and drawing up plans to try to get a stop here and maybe play the power game back and see what happens. But a good start for Terra State and a decent start for Henry Ford. You just gotta just execute a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Well, 12-6 here at the Athletics Memorial Building. And don't forget, we are still with you for all of Henry Ford College winter sports. And don't forget, on Tuesday, it'll be Macomb, who started the conference schedule, coming to play here at the Athletics Memorial Building here in Dearborn, taking on those Henry Ford College Hawks. Should be an interesting matchup. Always is when they get together. So tip-off time is 7 p.m. So make sure you're with us. 12-6, Terra State. And Terriana Settles on the serve. And they love to get to that third ball, and that was number 11, CeCe Boone, a freshman middle blocker. Power from that young lady. 13-6, Terra State.
It's a little bit louder than we're used to in here.
And that's how Henry Ford's going to have to score.
Yeah.
Lily Grantham.
And I said that at the beginning of the broadcast. They're gonna try to, or Henry Ford's gonna have to try to, tap that ball in and try to find holes, in this defense, and try to, if they're playing a power game, Henry Ford's gonna come a little less or a little more soft.
Madison Candela on the serve. And it seems like they have carbon copies of the personnel as Grotto comes through. 14-7. And this time it'll be Sophia Ford, a freshman, that'll serve for the Titans. A lot of them going to the jump serve. They get a lot of power in that elevation. It hits the net here, and that's 15-7 in the first game. As Sophia Ford. And that's a mistake, an error. 15-8 as the side is out, and Henry Ford will serve it up.
Kelsey Harris a check in. And we know the energy that Kelsey Harris brings to the court and how the team responds to when she makes those stops and she makes those, those blocks and a lot of good defensive plays. We know how the team responds, and, it puts a jolt in this team whenever she's on the floor.
And Henry Ford gets another point there, 15-9. And a little spin on the ball has to help. But a little later on, I want you to answer a question for me regarding recruiting if you're Henry Ford College. So let's delve into that a little later on. Somberg on the serve. And it's 15-10. That's 3 in a row for the Hawks, who need a mini run or a nice run, for that matter, to get back in it. If you were Henry Ford, if you were to put yourself in Shannon Braun's shoes and just real you know, maybe it's a long answer, but just give me something short. What would you be looking for on the recruiting trail?
Some height, and that's when when you see this team, you notice immediately how, compared to other teams, they aren't as tall as as a Terra State or Macomb. Those ladies have a little bit of height on them, and that's how a lot of these teams have beat them at the net, or they've used that power game. They've gone behind those legs, and if I'm Coach Braun, I'm going to recruit some height, because I think that's what they're missing. And you can have heart. You can have heart on this team, but you also need the height.
Now, Dallas, I don't know if you saw that. That looked like a knuckleball by Cassie Hoover. I love what you said, because I totally agree. They need some size. They have heart. They need height.
Yeah.
And that right there shows you, in volleyball, you can put a certain spin and velocity on this thing, 17-10. And that's the height that we're talking about on that point for the Titans, 18-10.
And no disrespect to any of the girls, but if you have a player a little bit taller, that's a block right there, or that ball is still alive. So.
And that's A1 great analysis there. 18-10, Titans lead it in game 1. And that goes out of bounds. So 18-11, a side out, and the Hawks getting ready to serve. Janae Collins will check in.
And I want to add one more thing to that. Henry Ford, athletically, they can compete with anybody. But again, that height that they're missing, that if they get some height to complement that athleticism and that heart, they'll be a force in this league.
And too many hits, didn't get it across. 18-12, and I want to say this: you're absolutely right. When you have girls that can go from the front row to the back row and serve with height and power, there's a lot more that you can do.
Yeah.
Janae Collins is one of those girls who's played bigger than she is, and she is 5'7". And I want to say that's either her coach or her dad that's down away from us making all the noise.
Whoever that is, man, he's out here. He's out here showing out.
3-0 run.
A lot of these parents will, and I wish that some of these parents were able to be at the games. But a lot of these parents, you got to give a shout out to those parents, because they put in a lot of hard work, just as much as the athletes did, to get to this point. And I know they're watching at home, and they're reaping the benefits as well, watching their daughters play collegiate sports, and that's a great feeling.
After the 3-0 run, 19-13, and number 19, Melissa Grotto on the serve. Henry Ford makes the return, and once again, Terra State sets it up, and everything's coming from the outside. They're nipping at the corners. 20-13. 20-13, Terra State, and Grotto will serve. I mean, they really crank it up. And that's 21 to makes it 21-13, and that's a call for another timeout. And that is Terriana Settles. You got Settles, you've got the Redford Union High School product, Kayla Jackson. You've got Melissa Grotto. You've got some nice size. But when you look at the sophomores, if I could just change the tune, 21-13, Melissa Somberg, Naima Johnson, Kelsey Harris, Veronica Kenowitz, Janae Collins, and Camille Brown. I mean, those, if you take those people away, you got to really come back, first of all, with some improvement from your freshman class. Hollis, of course, is out tonight. Candela makes you excited, but who else gets you really excited when you look at those freshmen that are going to be sophomores, just judging and assuming that they'll all come back here?
Yeah, and one person that gets me excited is Alyssa Dar. I think she's one of the more underrated players on this team. Not a lot of people get to talk about her a lot. She's low key and just goes by her business, and I think that's what you want on your team. But again, the recruiting part, you're losing 6 sophomores. That's a big hit to any team, no matter what sport you are.
But that's junior college.
Yeah, it is.
It's turnover time.
Exactly. But, you know, when you lose 6 sophomores like that, again, that recruiting class next year is going to be some dogs, and I can't wait to see what they have.
And Henry Ford could not return it on their third try. So it's 22-13, 3 points away from a win for Terra State in game number 1. Give you an idea how small Henry Ford is. 1 second. That's out. That's side out. And now Henry Ford will get a chance to make a run. Alyssa Dower on a serve, 22-14. Not one person over the 5'9" height for Henry Ford.
And in volleyball, that can be an issue. That can be an issue.
And nice ball placement by Terriana Settles. I think she scored the majority of their points. We don't have the stats next to us, any quick stats, but she has done a great job. 23-14, Abby Yost back to serve for the Titans. And they ruled that out, 24-14. It's game point for the Titans. Yost back to serve. Eric Pate, Dallas Young with you. It's Hawks volleyball, Henry Ford College. Good block at the net. But that nice return, but that was number 7, Gail Schwartzfager. And that's a 25-14 win in game number 1. Terra State out of Ohio defeats Henry Ford College. And what did you make of that first game of the match?
Oh, Terra State came out, played their game. You know, exactly what we thought was going to happen. They came out, used the power game. Obviously, you could tell they have more height, and they were moving around pretty well. I think Henry Ford has to match that energy. You know, I think they can, like I said, I think they can compete with any team that they face because they have that heart that, you know, that other teams don't have, and I've said that all year long. But Henry Ford just has to do a better job of competing when it comes to the second matchup tonight, and just be ready to go. You know, continue to play their game and work hard. And I think they'll be fine.
Well, Dallas, I got a trivia question for you. Terra State is located in Fremont, Ohio. It is the hometown of what former University of Michigan football player?
Fremont, Ohio.
Here's a hint. He's a great.
He is a great.
That's the only hint you're going to get tonight.
That's tough. That's tough. There's so many greats, especially coming from Ohio, too. That was pretty vague. I think you might have to get me on this one.
He just got a gold jacket this year.
What was that?
He just got a gold jacket this year. That's the only other hint I'm going to give you.
Man, I'm stunned right now. I am stunned right now.
You mean you don't know who Charles Woodson is? One of the greatest Michigan Wolverines ever. Heisman Trophy winner.
That was going to be my reaction no matter who you said because man, I can't believe I was stumped like that. And I'm feeling embarrassed right now in front of everybody who's watching right now.
Because I don't, Dallas, you were born when? When were you born?
2000.
See how you're not.
That's tough.
That was before you were born.
But the thing is, my dad is a big Michigan guy, so I should have knew that. But it's okay. The next trivia question, I think, it's not even I think, I know I'm going to have.
And so that, of course, is good news. Fremont, Ohio is where Terra State Community College is located. And, hey, they've got more than just – they're more than just the home of Charles Woodson, who just joined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I want to take a second to just talk about, the parents and that, that are here tonight, and even the freshman parents that are watching at home. These parents, like I said, I alluded to it earlier, these parents put so much hard work into their kids when they play, high school, middle school, even AU. volleyball. You know, so much time traveling and putting in the work with their kids, it doesn't go unnoticed. And even like I say, even for freshmen, like Alyssa Dar, Madison Candela, I know Madison Candela parents, they have been watching every single game, and I've gotten some good messages from them as well. So shout out to them. They make a baseball player feel good about what they're doing, and you know, somebody that doesn't know, that's just getting into broadcasting and, you know, doing this internship, you know, I've received nice messages from them as well. So, you know, shout out to the parents of this Henry Ford volleyball team as well.
Well, I want to say this regarding the roster. How many of these players, I mean, think about it, these sophomores have played for two different coaches. Mm-hmm. How many of them are saying, I wish I had another year to play for Coach Shannon Braun?
You know what, I've heard so many great things about Coach Braun, about how she's on her players constantly. And, you know, I personally wish that Coach Braun was here last year, because I would be excited to see what she would have done with that team last year, because so much is going on with the coaching staff and it affected the players. But if Coach Braun was here last year, I would have loved to see what she would have done with that group of girls. But she's doing a great job this year.
That was Alyssa Sander on the serve, a side out, and the Terra State Titans will serve, and that is Melissa Grotto. Grotto goes immediately to the back row for Henry Ford. There was a little mix-up. I think sometimes you have to use what they do in baseball. I got it. Yeah, 2-0.
Got a little bit of communication there.
There you go. 2-0. Game number 2, if you just joined us. Henry Ford lost the first one 25-14. Terra State up here 2-0. Little mistake there, and that's might be a hard ball to return,
especially when you catch on an angle like she did there. You know, it's a tough ball to return, like you said. You got to do your best.
And official just ruled that the ball hit the ground there, so hard to get a dig there. Ford zip.
You know, 4-0 start like this from Terra State, Henry Ford has to do their best to get the ball back and try to get some points on the board.
Award the point to Henry Ford, 4-1, side out.
It's a good start.
And Henry Ford will serve. And that's number 10, Alyssa Dar. I love the volleyball enthusiasts who've been giving me some tips on something with the serve there. 5-1, and I appreciate that, because I think I've done wrestling, basketball, and volleyball, and by far this year for Henry Ford College, volleyball has been the toughest. 5-2 on the service area.
You've done a great job. I wish they had you for baseball.
Let me just say this. There's been some talk about baseball. I'm not going to divulge any of that information. I'll let Rochelle Taylor, the athletic director, do that, but I'm interested in doing something like that. But I'll say that this is I've learned a lot. And I'll just say that, and we'll go on with it.
Yeah, I didn't know much about volleyball coming into this, but now, you know, I've been able to learn a lot. So thankful for it.
6-2, and CeCe Boone, another big hitter for Terra State, checks in. 6-2 Terra State, and that's number 3, Kerrigan Durko. And at 7-2, Henry Ford could not return it. What I've tried to do is describe the action as best I can. The terminology will come. I promise. Durko on the serve. A low riding serve. Good hustle by Durko. Camille Brown keeps it alive. Sander. And Terra State sets it up, and they set it up for their outside hitter, Tariana Settles, and looks like she turned her ankle. It's either an ankle or a knee. And that is that Chicanowitz? that did not look good. That didn't look good.
And she's missed majority of this season with injuries already, so this is a tough break right now.
And I don't know if our trainer is here, but hopefully she's okay. But as we were sitting here, it's 8-2, Terra State, Eric Pate, Dallas Young with you here at the Athletic Memorial Building. And, of course, this is the sophomores' last game, and that sophomore class includes Madison Somberg, Nima Johnson, Kelsey Harris, Veronica Kanowitz, Janae Collins, and Camille Brown. And that's a tough one. And as Coach hey, get her up and see if she's going to walk off here or they're going to help her off.
See if she has some power underneath that.
She's putting a little bit of pressure on it, which is a good sign, but that has got to hurt. I saw the entire ankle turn, and that is never a good thing. But these sophomores wonder who is going where. I didn't get a chance to talk to Coach Brown about that, and that's something you also have to consider. How many of these girls are going on to play in Division I schools, NAIA schools, all over the state and maybe the Midwest?
Yeah, and that's why you want to go JUCO. You know, you want to get bigger and better opportunities that you probably didn't get in high school, and you know, you use this time to develop. And you know, whatever school gets some of these girls, there's going to be a big privilege for them to be on those teams, and they're going to get some good players.
Okay. To the defensive team. On the serve. And that is too far. And that's another point for Henry Ford, and that's a side out. And that injury, they have her ankle elevated on the bench there. That's good. And number 7, Lily Grantham, back to serve. Ford sets it up. Goes out of bounds. Well, 8-4. Terra State once led 8-2, and now it's 8-4, and Janae Collins is going to serve. Nine to 4 as Terra State takes over. Number 16 is Terriana Settles.
Keep it alive right there.
9-4.
Good athletic play.
And that's out. Nine, 5. Wow. 10-5. As Terra State's going to serve.
Looked like a little bit of miscommunication of who was supposed to be playing where and who was supposed to be serving for Henry Ford.
Okay, Sophia Ford is back to serve for Terra State. 11-5. And Sophia Ford back. That's out of bounds. And side out there, and Henry Ford will get it back 11-6. They need a run. Good place to start. It'll be right now. Kelsey Harris checking back into the match, as well as number 2, Madison Somberg. That's a sophomore they're going to miss her leadership.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. The leadership that Madison Somberg provided this year is unmatched. The way she puts her body on the floor, her body on the line for her players. She picks her teammates up when they're down. I've been watching a lot of Madison this year, and she's done a great job. Again, I've always said that if I were playing volleyball, that's somebody I want on my team.
That's it. Somberg. And Henry, 12-7, a little mistake there. And checking back into the match is Cassie Hoover. She's going back to serve. This team, Terra State, is loaded with sophomores. And there was several that didn't make the trip here, as Coach Champagne let me know in the pregame. Block goes out of bounds, and it's 13-7. Terra State has pretty much controlled the match.
Yeah.
And Henry Ford hasn't been able to gain any momentum.
That's the correct word that you use, controlled. I think since the first matchup they've been controlling everything, and they've got the game in the palm of their hands right now.
Showing a little life there. That was Janae Collins and Nima Johnson. And now Janae Collins checks back in. And back to serve is Alyssa Sanner, freshman out of Garden City. I mean, you look at this roster, and if your tallest person's 5'9", and your next tallest person is 5'8", and then you're getting hit with people that are close to 6 feet across the net. Has to play on your mental. As the Titans score another one, and that's Melissa Grotto, sophomore outside hitter on the serve.
Looks like Henry Ford is coming out just a little bit flat, in the second game. Energy isn't there that we're used to seeing. I'm not sure if it's the long season and if everything is moving so fast, in the month that they have, but they've been flat the last couple of times we've been able to watch them play.
Just kind of a whirlwind type season, because remember the first week there were some cancellations because of COVID. And so they've played all these matches in a short amount of time. (17-8). I could have sworn Henry Ford had 4 tries on that, but nonetheless it ended in the Terra State's favor. 18-8 is the score. And Coach Shannon Braun letting her team know about a little strategy. I've loved the times that you have Kelsey Harris and Janae Collins on the floor at the same time. And it's 19-8 as Henry Ford couldn't return to serve. Dallas, I mean, at this juncture, timeout, Henry Ford, what do you do? I mean, we've seen this team all year, scrap and scrap back, but it's 19-8 now. What do you think is going through these sophomores' minds right now?
11-point deficit right now. It's got to be tough, getting beat in front of, your parents, and you want to come out and play hard, but they look a little bit flat. I think they had to, bring energy up a little bit and try their best to come back. And if they don't come back, look forward to Game 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, for folks, just so you will know, the volleyball districts start on Monday, March the 29th, which is approximately 10, 11 days from now. And then the semis will be Wednesday, March the 31st, and the district finals will be Saturday, April 3rd. That's the day before Easter. And then you're off to bigger and better things if you can get through the districts. So going to be interesting to see what happens with Henry Ford. They're going to have a tough road regardless.
Yeah.
You go on the road, you don't play at home, you get on a van or a bus, and you make that trip wherever it may be. And it's going to be a tough match, fans or no fans, in this COVID environment. 19-8. Melissa Groto. Henry Ford. And that's a little bit too far. It's out of bounds. 19-9.
This is where you have to start to scrap back, gain a little bit of momentum and see where it goes from here. But I don't expect Henry Ford to give up or just lay down and roll over.
And so Titans score again, and it's 20-9. Back to serve for the Titans is Abby Yost. I think due to the fact we don't have an instant stat package or anything like that, I think we've done a pretty formidable job describing this action. People don't understand how, hey, it's work.
Yeah, it is. And again, I'm just the intern. I'm just following your lead right now. You're doing a pretty good job, so.
21-9. Did they get that right? Wait a minute. It was just 20-9, and I thought they gave the point to Henry Ford. So do they need to fix that on the scoreboard? I mean, it was 20-9. Henry Ford just scored. Should it be 20-10? So Camille Brown, there you go. I think they're correcting it now. As Camille just on the serve, couldn't return it. So now it's 21-10. They did correct that. I was right. Checking into the match for the Titans is number 11, CeCe Boone. Back to serve is Kerrigan Durko. That's too far. And Henry Ford scores 21-11. They get it back. And they need a long run. I think early in the season we saw a couple long runs against Oakland. We've seen several times where they played with a lot of moxie. And they'll need some of that right now. 21-11. They got the right girl back to the serve in Nima Johnson. And Henry Ford.
Yeah, that's miscommunication right there.
Yeah,
I think somebody's supposed to be over there. As soft as that ball was hit, somebody should have been over there to say that.
(22-11) as number 16, Terriana Settles, is going to serve. (22-12). Number 11, Madison Candela, back to serve, and it's 22-12. Wait a minute. Is there an issue here with And that's the thing I've had the most issues with. I don't know what these official signals mean or anything. So
hey, we're working where we got.
I gotta study a little harder. Terra State returns it to Henry Ford, and Henry Ford got it across. And Terra State returned, and that goes out of bounds. Titans could not return that one. C.C. Boone there fell a little short, 22-13. And that's Madison Candela, the team's leading scorer. That was Bailey Robinson. I mean, they have a nice group of athletes for Terra State. And coming back into the match, number 14, Jakayla Jackson out of Redford Union High School.
Welcome home.
And how must that be? You come home, and I wonder if your family, none of her family members are here. That's got to be weird. 23-13.
I think in a regular environment, a non-COVID environment, her family is here, and that puts a bit more, more welcomeness, I guess I should say. I don't think she feels as if she's home really.
Yeah.
But
and she just scored to make it game point, 24-13 for the Titans. It's got to be weird.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. That ball goes high up to the ceiling. Henry Ford gets it across on their third touch, and they score. So they keep it alive at 24-14.
Got a little fight left in them.
Eric Pate, Dallas Young, as Janae Collins checks in. Here comes Kelsey Harris. Coach Braun has used Collins and Harris at the same time. Sonberg is going to serve. And that's it. The same thing that got him the first match gets him the second match. That power from the outside, and identical 25-14 scores, and they're up 2-0. Dallas. Over Henry Ford.
Well, Henry Ford has been in this position before this year. Countless times. There's been times where they've come back down 2-0 to force a fifth match. I think they have to dig way down deep in this one to even scratch the surface. I think they come out a little bit flat tonight, and I don't know if it's the countless days in the weekend matchups, but again, it's understandable. They've been at it every single day in this last month, and that's tough on the body, especially if you don't recover, especially if you don't take the time to take those ice baths and stretch and recover, and that plays a lot of being a collegiate athlete, and it's necessary. So I'm saying all that to say, again, it's been a rough month, and it's been a long month and long season. So it's understandable that they're coming out flat, but I think that it's a mental thing, and I think that they have to overcome that and just take it one match at a time.
25-14, 25-14 games 1 and 2 respectively for Terra State. Eric Pate along with Dallas Young here at the Athletic Memorial Building on the campus of Henry Ford College. We have enjoyed every bit of what we do, and it's winding down for volleyball today, and we may have wrestling on the 27th, but we got basketball on next Tuesday, the 23rd, and then we'll have some more basketball on Saturday, April the 3rd, and volleyball will be done after hopefully a fifth game after Henry Ford wins these next two, and maybe wins 3 and wins the game. So, or wins the match.
It'll be a good comeback. It'll be a good comeback in front of the parents, and send these sophomores home happy in their last home game of the season.
It would be nice, and it has been weird. It would be interesting to talk to some of these volleyball athletes about their struggles that they've faced and encountered through this COVID-19 environment. I know as a school administrator in my day job, it is unpredictable.
It is. It is. And even as a baseball player, and I can kind of do my best to kind of give you perspective on that. But even as a baseball player, it's tough. We have to have mandatory 2 days off in between practices. Last year we were practicing every single day, getting our reps in, but we have to have a mandatory 2 days off because of the new COVID, and we get tested 3 times a week. It's tough. It's tough, but you have to maneuver around those. And I think the great teams maneuver around those and don't get fazed by that type of stuff and still come back and find a way to win and to have an accomplished season.
So Henry Ford will come out with Kelsey Harris and Alyssa Dyer along with Alyssa Sanner. You've got Madison Somberg, Lily Grantham, and Madison Candela. Now, the thing that cracks me up now, you bring in Nema Johnson. I could never understand, like, what's the purpose of having that last person come in. For example, Candela goes off the floor, Nema Johnson checks in. Is that this cross up the – I mean, it happens in every match, in every game of a match. I just don't understand the volleyball idiosyncrasies, and I'm going to study up on them. That's what this job has made me want to do.
It's made me more interested in volleyball, that's for sure.
And so back to serve as Terra State starts game number 3 is number 15, Cassie Hoover. And now they attack right down the middle with Terriana Settles. And the alignments and the strategy, there's so much to learn with volleyball. It's not just your backyard variety when you're doing this. 1-0, Terra State. 2-0, Terra State. See what kind of fight Henry Ford has. Because this is gone 55 minutes, 2 games.
Terra State making quick work of Henry Ford. You don't want that. Henry Ford has to do their best to battle back.
And a nice play by Alyssa Dyer. 2-1. And so back to serve is Alyssa Sanner. And Kelsey Harris gets a chance to show what she's been about. 2-all.
And Kelsey Harris, we've seen her all season long. The athleticism she brings to this team is definitely something that they're going to miss. The leadership and the way she just electrifies when she's on this floor. She definitely brings the team up, and again, they're going to miss that.
And that was a nice hit by Terra State, and that's 3-2. They've been able to, as Melissa Grotto is back to serve, they've been able to hit it where the Hawks aren't, as the Hawks line up 2-4. Now it's 4-2. Nema Johnson back in for the Hawks. Nice block at the net by Henry Ford, but it goes out of bounds. 5-2, Terra State. And Grotto is getting a lot of mileage out of her serve. And that one was
just barely in.
You couldn't put it in a better place. 6-2.
Yeah.
Very skilled players for Terra State, and that one hits the net, and it's a point for the Hawks. 6-3, as Allison Dyer is set to serve. You can notice, let's just say it, this season we've noticed the difference in athletes on some of the opponents' rosters when compared to Henry Ford.
Yeah, and again, I'll say it, you know, Henry Ford, athletically, I think they can compete with anybody, but there are some more athletic players that they have faced on these rosters. A little bit more quicker, a little bit more taller, a little bit more faster reactions is what gets these teams the wins that they come out and grab when they compete against Henry Ford. So.
Alyssa Dar back to service. Good point, Dallas. I'd say that, and that's one for the hometown girl, Jakayla Jackson, 7'4", Terra State. I'll say that athletically, I think Henry Ford is lacking in the size area.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, I think they're fine to serves. Sometimes I'd like to see them do a better job with their serve. They just don't have the height. And there's an example of it, 8'4". Well, that was a little bit, you know, that was more of a mistake than anything, but they don't have that height to combat the taller teams, the Motts, St. Clair County Community Colleges, 8'4", Terra State.
And again, against St. Clair Community College, we've seen how that height and that power affected the game.
8'5". But they are showing some fight and some scrap. This is what we've seen all year. 8-5. We become accustomed to this. Camille Brown back to serve. I think there was and the officials have to keep track of all of these substitutions and make sure that they are aligned properly and done the right way. And now Janae Collins checks in. Nice play at the net, 8-6. When a block works, it's a thing of beauty. And it's 8-6, Camille Brown on the serve. Terra State setting it up. Henry Ford blocked at the net there by Terra State. And it's 8-7. And it was 8-4, and now it's 8-7 because Henry Ford is doing the things that we expected him to do early on. They're manufacturing these points.
And you know what? I think that in the majority of these matches that they have, I think if they get off to better starts, they'll be in better position.
A little bit too far, and the match is tied. Well, the game is tied at 8. Camille Brown getting some mileage. If this is her last time serving at home, she's doing a good job.
Henry Ford looking for their first lead of the matchup.
And that's the rally buster. And that was Jakayla Jackson.
You can't place that in any better spot.
Well, that correction, that was not Jakayla Jackson. That was Terriana Settles. And 9-8 as Durko back to serve. Nice block by Terra State. Good reaction from Henry Ford.
And Terra State got Durko from Tiffin University, a freshman that didn't really play much.
And it's 9-all on that play. Henry Ford's keeping it alive. Lily Grantham showing a lot of heart. A lot of toughness. You got to stay mentally focused in this game of volleyball. That's the one thing that I really learned. Pay attention. Your head's got to be on a swivel.
Yeah.
9-all.
I think volleyball might be the fastest moving sport out of any college sports. Again, you got to be mentally there all times. The game moves.
And that young lady has had herself a match.
She's having a game.
Terriana Settles.
She's having a game.
Timeout. Henry Ford, 10-9.
Yeah, she's having a game. She's been everywhere for Terra State. We talked about that power. The majority of that power is coming from her right now. She's all over the place. The athletic ability right now for her is unmatched. I think she might be the most athletic player on the court right now.
Now, it's interesting. Timeouts are 1 minute and 15 seconds. And I never knew that until we started doing these games. So you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
But as we're sitting here, Coach, I remember the interview we had that I did with Coach Braun at halftime of one of the basketball games, and she talked about just having the fact they have dorms. You know, they have dorms at University of Michigan Dearborn that they use, and just the programs here, talking to the president of the college, and just all the interesting things that Henry Ford, it's college. We have to remember, because there are some 4-year programs. So how appealing could it be? And of course, talking to President Cavaluna, and it was good to have him on.
I think for anybody that's getting recruited by any sport for Henry Ford, I think it's appealing because, a lot of people are used to the Henry Ford that was 4 or 5 years ago, where none of the sports are good. A lot of the coaches here, they didn't really care about any of the programs. And it's a new age in Henry Ford. And again, I'm happy to be here. A lot of the athletic players really have a bond. We all support each other. So that's one thing I love about Henry Ford. And again, I'm gonna miss when it's time to move on.
Henry Ford couldn't convert, 11-9, and that's Terriana Settles, probably the leading scorer of the night for the Titans, all the way from Ohio, Fremont, Ohio. And it's 12-9. They come from the hometown of Charles Woodson, arguably the greatest Wolverine ever. Now, you got to think about Tom Harmon. You got to think about Desmond Howard. But Charles Woodson, for my money, is the greatest Wolverine. How they ever let him get out of Ohio, I never guessed. 13-9. But he liked Michigan. He always liked it. So 13-9. Halfway through game number 3. That was it.
Oh, wow. And, I mean, that barely stayed in.
That was ball placement if I ever saw. That was a nice ace by Settles. And they're opening up another lead with the things that got them to the dance there.
Can't let Terra State get away right here. They have to keep it close.
Grotto on the return there, 15-9. Great reaction. Schwartzfager. They do it in so many different ways. Terra State now at 16-9, which was, I think, wait a minute, was it 9-8? Not too long ago?
At one point it was 9-8.
And that's a little bit too long. 16-10 now. Let's see if Candela, on her turn to serve, can make something happen. Nope.
Oh, my goodness.
They're going to get it across.
Oh, my goodness.
These girls, Henry Ford.
That girl's an athlete.
Yeah, Henry Ford hasn't made them run very much. And there is Grotto to make it 17-10. It's not their night. I mean, that's plain and simple. No, you don't have to know volleyball to know that. It's 17-10. They got close, and when they got close, Terra State went to another gear.
And, I mean, number 16 for Terra State, she just went out and saved that ball, and that just turned into a point.
That's it.
They won it.
It's another ace. 18-10. And make that 18-11. And let's see, it's Janae Collins that's going to serve. Another one that just tickled the line, or right before the line. 19-11, Terra State. And Cassie Hoover's back to serve. Once upon a time, it was 8-all. Terra State went to another gear.
Good save. Good hustle by Nima.
Went too far on the return. Nice hustle to return it.
Yeah, I was about to say you got to like that hustle by Nima. Nima Johnson has showed what she's about this year. And again, any four-year school that is lucky enough to land her is going to get a gem.
20-11. And the hometown girl, Jakayla Jackson, scores from her middle blocker position, 21-11. And I'll say this about Nima. She's got to be, when she has more fun on the sidelines than anybody, you got to love it.
Yeah, a great teammate. A great teammate.
21-11. Nice hit by Alyssa Dar. Terra State setting it up. Scandella. Great reactions, reflexes by Terra State. And it's 22-11. They've doubled them up. 3 points from winning the match. Already up 2-zip if you just joined us. 25-14, 25-14 wins in games 1 and 2. It goes out of bounds, and it's 23-11. Terra State to Sandusky to go to Cedar Point is about 2 hours. To Fremont, it's about an hour and 35, 40 minutes.
I haven't heard a lot of good things about Fremont or Ohio in general.
Yeah, I'm not a big Ohio guy either. And that makes it match point, 24-11. And let's say it as its match point. Cassie Hoover is serving. And Kelsey Harris won't let them die. That's indicative of the type of play they've had all year.
Yeah.
They just don't quit.
Yeah,
24-12. Terra State is better. We've established that. But let's see if Henry Ford can just play a little harder. (24-13).
And you know, you get a couple. You go into single digits. You cut the lead down to single digits, and you get some things to go your way. You get right back into it. You go on a little run here.
And that's it. That's the end of the match. 25-14, 25-14, and 25-13. Terra State defeats Henry Ford 3-0. And for Dallas Young, I'm Eric Pate saying so long. Once again, final score, Terra State 3, Henry Ford College nothing from the Athletics Memorial Building. Eric Pate saying so long.